Are you ready? Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do this thing, man.
The League Podcast.
Yeah.
Good morning. You're here with Jacob and Dylan with the League Fantasy Football Podcast. Top of the morning, Dylan. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Jacob. How you doing? Last night we actually posted our first podcast. So if you guys haven't heard it yet, please go check us out on Instagram or Twitter. Our Twitter is at the League Pod, and Instagram it is at the League period. So just go click on the link, the YouTube video, and
Please
check out our first
subscribe to
podcast.
us. Subscribe to our channel. Give us views. Give us likes on all that stuff. That'd be greatly appreciated. But regardless, even if you don't, we're still gonna put the stuff out there. So
Absolutely, man. We're doing what we love. So
doing what we love.
you guys can take it and run with it, or do your own thing.
That's right. So we promised last time that we would break down our top 50 fantasy football players. So we're gonna start today by each breaking down our 50 through 40, my big board and your big board for top fantasy football players. So we got a lot of info. This is light compared to what we got going on soon. We're gonna do all 50. So
yeah. So we'll be posting on our Instagram and Twitter as well. Everybody that we're talking about today, we'll post it up so you guys can see the rankings. And we also want to apologize for our last podcast being so long. We just started talking and we didn't really realize how long we were talking for. And we wanted to post something, get something out there for you guys. So it was, uncut, raw, So like I said, we're going to try to keep it, a little shorter, but, we're going to give you the information that you need. So let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Let's start with our 50th overall player. I have a quarterback, but why don't you go ahead? You start. What do you got,
so with number 50 for me, this touches home. This is my boy. I have high hopes for him. I have to because we just signed him to a 6-year, $56 million contract. So
that's steep.
Yeah, so it's going to be Tavon Austin, man. This is one of the most explosive players in the league, Obviously, He's been hampered by injury, and he's pretty small, man. So, he gets touched. He goes down pretty quickly, but
if
also...
he can get into that open field, though.
Yeah, you've seen. Get him in the open field,
best in the league.
He'll bust in, and he'll score. So, he has been out for all the OTAs because of wrist surgery, but he'll be ready for training camp. And, McVay wants him to play that Deshaun Jackson type role that he had in Washington where he was the deep threat. They were just bombing up to him and Deshaun Jackson would come down with it and score a touchdown, And Tavon has that potential. And the way that Sean McVay's offense is built is to open up the field, spread the field so everyone's not on top of each other like Jeff Fisher's offense where it was ground and pound.
Right.
They had 8 men in the box. We're going to spread it out. We're going to open it up a little bit. So, Tavon Austin, he needs one-on-one coverage and he just needs to beat the guy.
Take the top off the defense.
Yes,
he
sir.
can.
So,
he has all the speed in the world.
I have him at 50 because he has the potential to make big plays, as you saw him in college scoring over 20 touchdowns or whatever it may be on his senior year. And so, I love the guy. I think he's going to be a big part of the Rams offense if things go according to plan.
They use him right.
Yeah, exactly. But if things don't work out with Tavon Austin, I also read that, after this year, they can get out of that contract. They could release him and only get like $3 million in dead cap. So this is like a make it or break it year for Tavon Austin in the Rams organization.
It's not a contract year, but
exactly.
In a sense, it could be if he doesn't perform like he has,
like he's been paid to do.
He's been paid to do, exactly. And he was performing up until that contract. You got that contract. Maybe even that year before, he was still not great. It's surprising that they gave him such a big contract. But
he's a great special
he has that
player.
potential, like you said, to make those huge plays. So I
like
that. I like that at 50 a lot. That's your boy.
That's my boy, man. So good luck, Tavon. Hopefully you do something for us because we need to get some wins, man. No more losing out here in LA.
That's awesome. Well, at my 50, like I said, I got a quarterback, Derek Carr. So I know that may sound a little low. In my opinion, because he's great. I love everything Derek Carr brings to the table. His leadership, his skills, his consistency, his accuracy. He doesn't seem like he's only been in the league a couple of years. The guy seems like a poised vet.
No, it's crazy.
So along with the contract extension, he's now the highest paid quarterback in
Yeah.
the league. So
Yeah, man.
that's
I
huge.
believe it's the richest NFL contract
period,
ever.
right?
Yeah.
So that's huge. And watching Derek Carr too, talking about his contract, he wasn't boasting and talking about, and the reporter said to him, "You're not the flashiest guy," and he said, "It's not about me or my family, it's about the world." He's gonna do so good with this money, so I'm so excited to see that. And not only that, he has so much firepower on that offense. That offensive line, like we've talked about before, unbelievable. He has the receivers. He has a beast mode in the back. We'll see what that can do.
absolutely.
But man, that
Yeah.
offense is amazing right now, and I think Derek Carr has all the tools in the arsenal to make it happen. So.
Yeah,
He's
dude, I
had-
agree. I mean, he's actually in my top 50 or this segment as well. I'm going to talk a little bit more about him later on. So
Yeah, so he definitely could be maybe a little higher, but there's fantasy wise, there's those skill positions that I sometimes would rather have in front of a quarterback, depending on the quarterback. So Derek Carr is 50th. He still made my top 50. So I like what he can do, and I'm putting that at 50, but 49. 49, I got a rookie. I got a rookie running back with Christian McCaffrey
wow.
at 49.
Well, I got a rookie running back at 49 too, but it's not Christian McCaffrey. I actually have Christian McCaffrey pretty high up on my fantasy big board.
What I base the rookies off of is I don't have anything to base them off of NFL. So I couldn't put them very high just because who knows what they're going to do. It's hit or miss with every single rookie depending on their system and where they end up and the speed of the NFL and all that. So I was scared to put Christian higher or any rookie higher because of the fact that I haven't seen anything out of anybody yet. I don't know what they can do, but Christian's skill set, he's 5'11", 202 pounds. He ran a 4.48 40. He can catch the ball with ease. He's so patient. He reminds me a little bit of Le'Veon Bell when he runs behind the line. He sits, he waits for the hole. I think Christian with the Carolina Panthers is going to have a great year. No Panthers running back has reached 30 receptions in over the past half decade. And I really think that Christian breaks that trend. I really think that his motor doesn't stop and he has a great year this year. So that's my 49 with Christian McCaffrey. Dill, who's your 49?
So at 49, I've also got a rookie.
Oh, nice.
He is a third-round pick out of Toledo. His name's Corrine Hunt. He has been a standout in the Chiefs OTAs, and they've been throwing everything at him within that playbook, and there's a lot, and he's handling it really well. He's a great pass catcher, praised by his running backs coach. They're talking about him being that third down back coming out of the gate, but if Spencer Ware struggles at all within the training camp, preseason, even regular season,
Kareem's that guy.
He's that guy. He could be a 3-down back, So they view him as, a feature back. That's what they're
Definitely.
saying
He could
right
have a
now
feature
in
role.
OTAs. So, I have high praise for the guy. We'll see though. He might not even be in the top 3. Charcandrick West is number 2 right now. Spencer Ware is number 1.
Yeah.
So it's just
We'll see
no
how it
pads.
pans
You
out.
never know. So
Yep.
I do have him ranked right here, but that could change. He could go up. He could go down, just depending on how it goes. Throughout training camp. This is pre-training camp rankings. So this is just kind of our best guess before we get the pads on and everyone gets going. So we'll update them throughout training camp and preseason to the regular season. So that's my number 49. I also have another rookie running back at 48, Joe Mixon.
Wow.
I love the guy. He should have been a first-round pick, but he had all those off-the-field issues.
He should have been a top 10 pick.
Absolutely. He had top 10 talent. They're saying he's the best college guy to come out since Lev Bell. Everyone is reminded of Lev Bell. He can catch. He can run. He can block. He can do it all. He is an all-around complete running back. He does have tough competition, though, with Gio Bernard and Jeremy Hill. Gio Bernard did tear his ACL last year, so
I don't
he
think
is questionable.
He's, to me, Gio's the third down or the third running back on their roster. Jeremy Hill is 2 because he's the pounder and he's actually not injured. He's coming into I think a somewhat healthy season.
Yeah.
So I could see, honestly, Joe Mixon taking that role from Jeremy Hill. Jeremy Hill actually is probably the first running back,
Yeah.
Then Gio, then Joe. But
Yeah.
with Gio being hurt, I feel like Joe skips up Gio, and then I think Jeremy Hill's one fumble away from Joe Mixon getting in there. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden being that featured back, and we know he's got the skills. He can do it. I love Joe Mixon too.
As long as he can, stay on the right track, not get in any trouble with off-field crap, and also, depending on how Jeremy Hill does. Jeremy Hill's got the starting job until he loses it.
Well, Jeremy Hill's on a contract year too, so he's got to make it or break it.
And Gio's gonna get the ball no matter what. When he's healthy, he's gonna be that third down back. He's gonna get his place. He's explosive. He's a good player. So.
But Marvin Lewis with the Bengals, he's known for getting those troublemakers. Not
exactly
troublemakers,
it's a good
but those
program
guys with a bad rep.
He knows how to handle them.
Yeah, so he definitely has the experience with those troubled past guys. So I think Joe Mixon will be on the right track. They'll do everything to make sure he stays on that. And best of luck to him. I think he's gonna be great in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So what do you got for 48?
So for 48, I have Mr. Alshon Jeffrey, new Philadelphia Eagle. So I have Alshon Jeffrey in our the league, fantasy football league. He didn't do much for me last year at all. Very quiet.
Well,
he had a couple of good games.
For a while too.
Yeah, he was suspended. Jay Cutler, is just subpar to me. I feel like they never had a great connection. It was maybe a few years back they did, but I think Alshon Jeffrey has so much potential if he has somebody that can throw him the ball correctly and they can get open and they can form some type of chemistry. But I'm interested to see how he's going to play with a young quarterback because he's always usually played with a vet, if I'm not mistaken. He always plays with someone who has some experience. So to be the guy with the experience and having the younger guy throw to you, I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. And being in a new system too, I'm just curious to see how fast he'll grasp that offense. And I think if they can get it going like they did at the beginning of last year, now they have a Jordan Matthews, they have a Torrey Smith, and an Alshon Jeffrey. They have some firepower. They don't have just Jordan Matthews being that number one guy. They have a few deep now to where Alshon could potentially have a great year this year, in my opinion. So I have him in my top 50 at number 48. And like Dylan said, these are all pre-mini camp or pre-training camp rankings, so they're all subject to change, so we'll see how it goes out the next few weeks, but that's my 48. And at 47 I have a speedster. I have a guy with the troubled past himself, which I think he is going nowhere but up, and that's Mr. Tyreke Hill. This guy's a speed demon, and what's crazy to me is they cut Jeremy Maclin and took a huge cap penalty on him being gone. So I don't know why necessarily they did that, but I do know they have a lot of trust in this guy, Tyreke Hill. And we saw it last year. They got him the ball as much as they could. They had him running the ball, motioning and getting the ball. He was on all returns. The guy is so lethal. So
man, he's a beast. I mean, he had six receiving touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 kick return touchdown, and 2 punt return touchdowns.
And I think that's the first person ever to get rushing, passing, and returning touchdowns all in one season or something like that. Man. I mean, he broke some sort of record this year. I don't know exactly what it is.
He made the Pro Bowl. He made All-Pro Bowl as a returner.
That's right.
So
he's all around I love Tyreke, man. I do like the Chiefs a lot too. I love their defense is what I love. Their defense is sick. They got some key players and they got some great old players too, great offensive players. So I like Tyreke Hill at number 47. What about you? What do you got at lucky number 47?
Lucky number 47. I actually have someone you've already talked about. I have Derek Carr at 47.
Okay.
Like you talked about earlier, he's been super consistent in his career. I mean, he's had over 21 touchdowns each season in his rookie year. Last year, he had 28. The year before, 32. So he's been very consistent, to say the least. I mean, he only threw 6 interceptions last year. They just locked him in on that 5-year, $125 million contract. He's got a great offensive line. He's got Marshawn Lynch, Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree. You know, they just signed Jared Cook for that tight end to solidify that tight end spot. Also, they just signed Cordell Patterson to add a little bit of speed onto that offense as well.
Looking
good. I mean, they're going to open it up with that running game with Marshawn Lynch, and he's got so many weapons that, you know, it's going to be a great year for him. I think he, he's just going to continue to get better. He's still so young. Like you said, he plays like he's a veteran. You know, he's only been in the league for 3 years. So, that's who I got at 47. And right under him at 46 is Matt Ryan. You know, I got 2 quarterbacks back to back. Obviously they're really good players, but in the fantasy world, the quarterback position is not as valuable as, say, the running back and receiver position because it's so deep at the quarterback position. Put that in mind. Obviously, I think really highly of these guys, but
there's so many skill players out there you don't have to take. You can draft however you want, but in the same aspect, you got to have that depth in those skill positions. There's so many guys that you can pick up off the waiver wire, quarterback-wise, that you can just plug and play for a week if you need to or whatever. So I highly recommend going with skill players.
Like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
If that guy's out there, you can't pass that. You got to take it. And like you said, we obviously think so highly of all these other quarterbacks, but due to all the skill players that are out there in fantasy football world, that's kind of how these rankings are set up. So I love that, man.
So I mean, he was the 2016 MVP. He has, tons of weapons around him, and he didn't lose anything, in this offseason with his offense. He's still got Julio Jones, he's still got Mohamed Sanu, he's got Taylor Gabriel, Telvin Coleman, Devontae Freeman.
You like Telvin Coleman.
I love Telvin Coleman. You just wait, we'll be talking about him. I'll be talking about him in depth later on. But anyways, last year he had 38 touchdowns, only 7 receptions, 4,900 yards, almost 5,000, but I think he's more, I think people are going to key in a little more and figure out this offense a little easier than they did last year. Not as easy, I should say. They have the best receiver. It's impossible to stop him. But I do think that they are going to force them to run it a little bit more. But they have a great offensive line, great running back. So either way, they're going to be successful. What do you got for 46?
46, I have somebody who is now on the Saints. He came off a gnarly injury last year, but Mr. AP, Adrian Peterson, he doesn't get it old. He ages like fine wine, He just gets better as it goes by. So we'll see how he does. I have him at number 46, strictly because of what I think he can do in that offense. I think Mark Ingram's one fumble away, just like Jeremy Hill's one fumble away of losing their starting position. And then you have arguably one of the best running backs ever, or in the league at least, Adrian Peterson, ready to take that spot. And Adrian Peterson, I've been reading about in training camps. His associates, his other players, are talking about his cuts looking like he was, obviously never even had a surgery. He's running like a beast. He's running through people just like normal. And I think as a little time goes by, he's gonna really make a presence in that Saints offense.
I agree 100%. I've actually got him ranked pretty high on my top 50 because I loved Adrian Peterson. He is one of the best running backs in the last century or decade, whatever it is.
So I'm so surprised the Vikings actually ended up letting him go, but the Saints scored there, and I feel like Mark Ingram I love Ingram out of Alabama. I said Alabama because I watched him in Alabama so much. But the problem is he's so injury prone. He's so fumble consistent. He's so inconsistent with his games. He's going to have an amazing game one week, touch it, 20 plus times, and then the next week they don't even get him the ball, So I think AP in there, they're going to know they have Adrian Peterson. They're going to use him to their advantage. So I really love AP. I love the Saints offense in general this year. I think they're going to kill it. So that's my 46. Underneath 46, I got 45. And this guy too, man, I really love Jameson Crowder. So Jameson Crowder this year, I really think is gonna do wonders. Jay Gruden is drooling over him. He's doing everything that he can possibly do to get Jameson Crowder the ball. He said he can line him up anywhere, outside, slot. He could put him in the running back position. He could run the ball with him if he wanted to. There's so much stuff that Jameson Crowder can do, and I really think this is the year where he actually finds, I don't know, not maxes out, but he really hits his potential and really, breaks out this year. I think this is Jameson Crowder's breakout year. So he had a great, I shouldn't say that, he had a breakout year last year.
He was great
killed
last
it.
year. Oh, yeah.
But I think this is the year he's really on the map and people are, know his name. So
absolutely.
I love the guy. So that's my 45 with Mr. Jameson Crowder. And with the pieces they got too, right? So they got Terrell Pryor. Mm-hmm. So that's going to take away from them. They get Kenny Britt too.
No, Brian Quick.
Brian Quick, that's what I meant.
Yep.
Sorry, Brian Quick. So they have two receivers that took over for Pierre and Deshaun. So they still have those two, and you have now Jameson Crowder, who's able to float around and be that guy that's open all the time that they can dump the ball off to, or hit deep, or
Jameson Crowder already has the trust of Kirk Cousins. So I think Jameson Crowder has the potential to put up number one. Borderline one, high two stats, and I would definitely. I think he's a start every week. He's one of those guys you can put a receiver two or the flex position.
That's a solid start.
Ryan started him multiple games last year.
And he made out every single time for the most part.
Exactly.
He had a great year last year. And I think he's going to have an even better year this year. I'm super high on them. And just in, too, Schefter reported that Redskins and Kirk Cousins' long-term deal remains a long shot. So we'll see about that.
Well, he's coming to LA next year with Sean McVay. So.
that's Dylan's thought process on that. So that's my number 45, Dill. So what do you have at 45?
So at 45, I've got Dougie Fresh.
Ooh, I love that. The
Doug Martin, I love the guy, man. Like last year, we actually traded. We traded last year for Doug Martin.
That's right. I traded you
Jonathan
John Stewart
for Doug Martin,
Fresh.
straight up.
That's right.
And you made out on that because Doug Martin really never came back from being...
But I had two games Jonathan Stewart had decent ones.
Yeah, it was
so I didn't really make out there.
I mean, he got more production out of
absolutely. He played.
But anyways, he's been having an all-star performance in OTAs. He looks like the Doug Martin that he was from a couple years ago in 2015 when he ran for 1,400 yards.
I believe he made the Pro Bowl.
He did. And it's crazy. There's only been 2 years that he's gone over 1,400 yards, and both years he was healthy. The other 2 years he's been in the league, he's not been healthy. So if he stays healthy this year, he has potential to put up the stats. And he said he's 100%. Everyone around him says he looks like he's 120%. Shredded, just killing it. Finishing runs. Finishing drills. I mean, no one is working harder than he is right now. He is suspended, unfortunately, for the first three games,
which might give him an advantage. He's gonna come.
He's gonna come back
with
hungry,
fresh legs.
Yeah.
Everyone else is gonna have 3 weeks of work put in already, or games at least, and being sore. Doug's gonna have fresh legs. He's like you said, he's hungry. He's gonna go in there and want to eat. So, I look for big things out of Dougie Fresh.
I like him a lot. The only reason I have him so low is because he is suspended. So in the NFL. If someone else takes your job, it's going to be hard to come back and win it. If say, Jacquizz Rodgers is in there and he's just playing great like he was last year, they're not going to switch him out. They're not going to bench him for Doug Martin.
There might be a little timeshare, but
exactly.
In the end, that's what happens. It's cutthroat out there. They like to stay with what works, right? Mm-hmm. So if that's working and they're winning games with Jacquizz Rodgers, they're not going to, like you said, just throw Doug in there.
But he's small too, so he's very injury prone.
They will. They're going to throw him in as a timeshare, but Doug deserves that role.
He's a beast. We've seen that he can be a beast. He just has to come and want it. That's what everyone's question is: does he want it? Does he want to go out there and play, or is he just over it? And this offseason, it's been.
I think he's proved to everyone that he's out there to get it. So.
Exactly. He wants to play. He's not going to go put forth all this effort and just let it all go to waste. He's going to. I've read that those first 3 games he's. Suspended, he's planning on just working out hardcore during those 3 weeks. So, Doug Martin, I think he's going to have a great year, as long as, he stays healthy. That's the big determining factor for any player, really.
Absolutely.
But anyways, I'll go down to number 44. And this guy, he's been in the league for a couple years, and he was a first-round pick, number 14 overall, so you expect
I'm
big
surprised.
things.
I'm surprised this guy made your top 50.
Really?
I am.
I
Absolutely
like him.
surprised.
I actually love him.
I know. I love him
I've been
too.
high on him for the last 2 years.
I just haven't seen enough out of him production-wise to be able to do
Well,
that. But this might
I
be the
agree.
year. This might be
Well,
the year.
it's crazy. You don't think you see enough production, but in just 12 games last year.
This guy, his name is Devante Parker.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Out of
sorry.
the
I
Miami
didn't even
Dolphins.
mention his name, but Devante Parker from the Dolphins, last year in 12 games played, only 8 games started, he had 56 receptions for 744 yards. So he could easily get 1,000 yards in 16 games,
Well, that's another one of those guys that needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy because he's so much more comfortable with just being an NFL player now. I read that in OTAs he's burning corners, Xavier Howard and Byron Maxwell, and he's just talking smack to him, And he said it's just all out of fun and love,
Yeah,
it's the
But
game.
that's exciting. He's fired up.
And he's 100. He's like, I have not been healthy my entire NFL career. And he said, I've never felt this good. And even all the coaches are saying how great he looks out there and how he's making spectacular touchdown catches day in and day out, And just the reason I put him up, like you said, so high is not because of his production, because he hasn't produced like he should, but just all the potential, in college. In 6 games as a senior, because in college he actually had injury problems his senior year, and that's where it was just lingering this entire time. Yeah. So in 6 games his senior year, he had 855 yards in 6 games. 5 touchdowns, and then it was his junior year. He had 12 touchdowns. Sophomore year, 10 touchdowns. So I mean, he's a red zone threat, and that's what I really see out of him. And with that offense, they got Jay Ajayi, who were both really high on that. They're gonna run the ball a lot. So the defenses are going to want to stack up a little more. So there's going to be a lot of one-on-one coverage. And Devante Parker's got the speed and the athleticism to beat these guys, So
Absolutely.
Devante Parker, I really think, I know if he stays healthy, he's going to have a good year. He's going to produce for us. So, everyone's been also comparing him in practice to A.J. Green just because he's long, he's
I was going to
fast,
say, he has the length.
He does.
Lanky,
he's got the length.
So
yeah, that's my guy for number 44. I love him. I really, really do. Just watch out for him. If he's available late in the draft, he's one of those flyers that you can go ahead and just take a shot on and see how he does in preseason.
Well,
we'll do the draft after preseason.
He's their number 2 receiver behind Jarvis, is he not? Or is it Kenny Stills?
It's between Kenny Stills and Devante
Jarvis.
Parker.
Devante Parker.
It's just also, something to think about is Jarvis Landry's on a contract
Yes,
here.
he
He
is.
hasn't been signed yet. They just signed Kenny Stills to a long-term deal. So, realistically, this is a season where Jarvis Landry, unless he does
They could
get signed,
transition into making Devante Parker that lead guy, or Kenny Stills that lead guy, and letting Jarvis walk to open up some salary cap
absolutely
for the following season.
Mhm.
So that's interesting. That's gonna see.
So
That's gonna be. I love Jarvis to death. So I really hope Jarvis just has another absolutely record-breaking year.
Don't say you didn't hear it from me first, but what's going to happen is Jarvis Landry is not going to get a contract extension. He's going to play out his contract. He's going to have an amazing Pro Bowl year. He's going to walk. They're not going to be able to afford him. He's going to go to the Giants. Him and Odell are going to play in New York together. Unless, we also have a problem with Odell's contract. And if Odell doesn't re-sign with the Giants, who knows? They might both leave and go to New Orleans, where they're from.
With a Drew Brees.
With a Drew Brees
and Michael Thomas.
They
could. That's a championship possibly down team.
You didn't hear it first, or you did hear it
or
first.
You did.
Just wait.
You did hear it first. That's what we bring to you.
So, what do you got for 44, Jay?
44. I got my guy Hawaii, Marcus Mariota.
Okay.
I got another quarterback in this. I got quite a few quarterbacks in this last 10 on my top 50 just because of all those skill players, and I do have my top 2 quarterbacks way up higher because like we talked about, if those Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady are out there early, you got to grab them, but these are the guys that I see taking, but a little bit farther down.
5, 6, 7, somewhere around that range.
And there's so many more skill players, like I said, in between. But Marcus Mariota, who was my starting quarterback in our fantasy league all season last season, I had Eli on the bench. I think this year he has so much more firepower than last year. His O-line's even better than last year. Marcus Mariota is so smart. His IQ is through the roof. His scrambling ability, and that's one of my favorite things about quarterbacks, is being able to scramble. So I love that whole Marcus Mariota being able to sit in the pocket, toss it, or if he needs to, if he's in trouble, he can figure out how to get out of that hecticness and
Yeah.
scramble out of that and get yards. He had like a 90-yard touchdown 2 years ago, last year, something like that. So this year, with all the stuff they acquired in the draft and the free agency, I think Marcus Mariota is going to have an amazing year, not only passing, but rushing. He will, and I feel like they're a playoff team this year. I really do think they're going to make the playoffs. So that's going to be interesting to see. I hope they can make it. So that's my 44th overall player is Marcus Mariota. And I have 2 quarterbacks back to back. At 43, right under Mariota, I got Mr. Cam Newton.
Wow.
I'm only putting him in the 40s because of he's coming off shoulder surgery, and it's Cam. He's Superman. He's probably not going to be affected by it. But just off of his down year last year, I got to see it out of him before I'm throwing him out there being the best, because he looked timid last year. There was something about it where he didn't look like he was that comfortable Cam.
MVP from 2015.
Exactly. So, well, I really hope this year he brings that energy,
firepower,
he had
man. That
from 2
that
years
energy,
ago.
that spark, which I think he will. As you guys listen, he's ranked as my number 3 quarterback, in fantasy. So I think that he potentially could be the number 1 quarterback this year. So I'm really high on him.
We both love Cam.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Cam? The guy's amazing. So he seems to be thrown with great power already after surgery, so I don't think there's any concerns. But this guy's ability is through the roof. We know he can probably truck any linebacker in the league. He's bigger than half the linebackers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Newton is my guy. I love him. I wish I had him in fantasy football. Hopefully I can this year. But he's my 43rd overall ranked player. What about you, Dill? Who do you got at 43?
So for 43 and 42, I'm just going to touch base on them. You've already covered them. I've got 43. I've got Tyreke Hill, like we talked about earlier. He's a Swiss Army knife is what they like to say. He had 6 touchdowns receiving, 3 touchdowns rushing, 2 kick return touchdowns, 1 punt return touchdown. I mean, this guy was all over the place, all over the field. He's only 22 years old. They just released Jeremy Maclin. I mean, there is all the opportunity in the world for this young man right here. And, he is one of the fastest, if not the fastest player in the NFL. So, we were talking about Tavon Austin, getting him in open field. This guy, Tyreke Hill, you get him in open field, he breaks tackles, he jukes, he spins, he stiff arms, he does it all. This guy he's an amazing player. The only reason I have him even this low is because I don't know how he's going to transition to that number 1 receiver. He wasn't the number 1 guy last year. He only had 593 receiving yards. Granted, he had 267 rush yards. So I don't know. We'll see. He is supposed to be the number 1 guy along with Travis Kelce. So we'll see. 42. I got Jameson Crowder. I love the guy. He had career highs last year. Big jump from his rookie year to the second year. He was so clutch. Kirk Cousins trusts him. He had, 67 receptions for 847 yards and 7 touchdowns. And that was with Pierre and Deshaun, who Kirk Cousins loved, who he had a really good rapport with. So now there's no Pierre, no Deshaun. That's more targets, that's more opportunities, and that's more points.
Yep.
You did touch base that they did sign Brian Quick and Terrell Pryor, and Terrell Pryor is very good. And he's going to be try to go into that number 1 role. Jameson Crowder, like you said, can move all over the field. No matter where you need him, he's going to go. And
I feel like both those guys are going to be fantasy 1 and 2 relevant players. I mean, they're going to be, at least both of them, they're your wide receiver 2 capabilities.
I think that Terrell Pryor is going to have those big weeks, score 2 touchdowns, have 10 receptions for 100 yards or whatever it is. But I think Jameis Crowder is going to have more points at the end of the year. He's going to be more consistent. He's going to be a guy you could just start in your flex every week.
Yeah. I feel like Jameson Crowder is going to be the guy that gets the more receptions, and then Terrell Pryor is going to have the 2 receptions for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
No,
and
exactly.
then
but
he's building up in PPR, and he has that red zone ability too, because he gets underneath and does those short routes.
He knows how to get open.
Get in there. Yeah,
he's like a Wes Welker. He knows how to get open. Totally. So that's why I have at 43 and 42. So I'll let you go ahead and go. Yeah. You're on 42 right now.
So and I wanted to touch base too. I'd say tied with Cam at 43 would be Dak Prescott. I didn't mention Dak Prescott in my top 5 fantasy rankings. But he is probably tied with Cam as my top 5, my 5th overall quarterback, and I'd say he's tied with Cam at 43 overall on my big board. I love Dak so much. We know what that offense can do. I don't even really need to elaborate on it because I don't like the Cowboys, but I love Dak. So Dak and Zeke are my boys. So Dak, I'd say, is at 43 with Cam, but at 42, I have someone who you love. And I love too, but he's a Viking, and Vikings and Packers don't get along. But Mr. Stefon Diggs, this guy is came out of nowhere basically, kind of came out of left field.
I love that. I picked him up in the what's it called?
Waiver wire.
Waiver wire.
That's
I picked him up. Nobody was, everyone was sleeping on him.
I think he's out of Maryland. Last year, he had injuries lingering all year. So he even said that he wasn't at his 100. He kind of like Devante Parker. This year, he feels as if he's 100%. He is so excited to get in this year. He has the potential to be that receiver. We saw flashes of it.
I love it.
He had 2 100-yard games in a row last year. I mean, this guy has so much potential. I think this year he has a 90+ reception potential. I really do, and I think without a doubt he's breaking 1,000 yards. If he can stay healthy,
I believe he broke 1,000 yards last year.
No, he didn't. He was right under 1,000 yards. I think he had like 843 or something like that. But I think he's going to break 1,000 yards and 90 receptions. So what was it? Oh, he had 903 yards last year and 84 receptions last year. So I think he's going to easily hit 98, but that's why I said 90+. He's going to could be 100 receptions and 1,000 yards. So
no, I agree.
I think Stefon Diggs is going to be good this year. And are they still gonna start Sammy Bad?
Well, I mean,
or
Teddy
is
Bridgewater.
Teddy gonna be?
I read that Teddy Bridgewater actually looks like he's never even been hurt.
Never got hurt.
Got hurt. So he's looking good.
That's
Sam
interesting.
Bradford, he broke the record for best completion percentage in a season at 70% or 71%. So he gets him the ball. The routes that Stefon Diggs runs, with the comebacks, the outs, those little quick routes. Those are Sam Bradford's
go-to.
Yeah,
those bread
are
and butter.
Nice routes, But Adam Thielen did take a lot of targets and receptions away from.
Did Adam make your top 50?
He didn't.
He didn't. I know you like Thielen too.
It's just they don't produce enough.
But they're not
in the Vikings offense.
I was gonna say they're not like a heavy offensive firepower-ing team.
They're not.
Their defense, I feel like, is what wins them
low-scoring games.
Low-scoring games. So they'll have those occasional where Stefon Diggs goes off, where I think he is. I think this year they're going to have multiple 2-touchdown games with, 70 to 120 yards, out of Stefon Diggs. So,
and he scored multiple 100-yard games last year.
Yeah, he did. He had 2 in a row at the beginning.
So, he had 3 last year.
100+ games. 100-yard plus
awesome.
games.
Yeah.
So
5 total in his career as a 2-year pro. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's at 42 out of my top 50. I really like Stefon Diggs. And at 41, I have yet another quarterback, Saint as well, Mr. Drew Brees.
Yeah.
So he's coming off an incredible year last year.
Mr. 5,000.
Yeah, Mr. 5,000.
Mr. Consistency.
He threw 471 completions out of 673 attempts. That's a career high for himself. He's never completed that many passes, but he has his second highest completion percentage last year out of his whole career, which was 70%. 70% completion percentage he ended the 2016 season with. Wow. So, and mind you, he did have Brandon Cooks. He had maybe a little more firepower, but I think their running game this year is going to really help out that passing game. They have a Michael Thomas who is just peaking right now, who's through the roof with talent. So, obviously Willie Snead, they got the people there to still make it happen. Drew Brees could be throwing to me out there and still make it happen. So, I love what Drew Brees brings to the table every year. He's so consistent. You can always rely on him. If you draft him in your league, you got a solid start.
And he's one of those players that makes everyone around him better.
Yeah, he's a complete leader.
Exactly.
Everything you look for, I think, in a quarterback. So I love Drew Brees, obviously. Who doesn't? And I think he's going to have another incredible year this year. That Saints offense is sick. I love it.
Yeah.
So that's 41 for me. We're almost with 40. We're almost done. Who do you got at 41?
I got 41. This guy is a Packer, baby. Devante Adams.
Yee!
He's only 24
Woo!
years old.
That's
you know,
what I'm talking
it's the last
about.
year of his rookie contract.
Yep.
Last year he set career highs in targets, receptions, reception yards,
That's
touchdowns, yards per catch. I mean, this guy had a
Randall
phenomenal
Cobb,
year.
who?
But this guy, I think that he has the potential to be a number one receiver. You know, they got Jordy Nelson, they got Randall Cobb, but Randall didn't perform last year like everyone thought he would. Jordy Nelson, he's had a lot of injuries in the past. You know, he's getting up there in age. He's got a couple more years on his contract. So I think that, you know, this is his last year on his contract for Devante Adams, but I think that he proves to them that he can be that guy, and they do give him a long-term deal. I love that he has to play out the contract, though, and they're not giving him an extension in the offseason.
That's the Packers.
He's going to be so hungry. He's going to perform at such a high level. Yeah. I am keeping Aaron Rodgers, so I would love to have a receiver like Devante Adams to pair along with my guy. So I'm high on him. You know, he's ranked, you know, pretty high on my
I'm extremely high on him. I have him higher than that on my board. So
it's just, you know, Jordy right now is the number one. He's the one. I mean, there's so much. Aaron Rodgers produces so much that you could have 2-3 number ones on his team compared to anyone else.
Devante Adams, too, what I read is that he's not looking for the money. He knows where he's at. He knows he's on a championship team. You know how hard those are to come across? He got so lucky to end up where he is that he knows it's not about the money. It's about championships and working hard. So I think that's why this year he is going to do exactly everything you're saying, but it's not only just for the money. It's for the fact that he wants to prove that to the Packers organization that he's there to stay and he wants to win ships, and he's he could be that guy down the road because Jordy and Carr are getting old. And like we touched on I think last podcast, what if Packers decide Devante's the guy and end up getting rid of like a Cobb, you know, and just cutting him straight up, you know?
Some money.
So get some money and open that spot up for Devante because they have some depth at receiver now. But I would hate to see that happen because I love Cobb, but you can't afford everybody, right?
No, exactly.
So we'll see what happens this year. But I love Devante Adams a lot. We've loved him since he got drafted.
No, he's a good player.
Especially after last year, like you said, he made a career year for him. He went off the charts. So and seeing too, following in this offseason, he's been working so hard. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna bring to the table this year.
Me too, man. Me too. But at 40, we both have the same player.
Hey!
So let's just go over him. Larry Fitzgerald. You know,
the
I kind
myth,
of want to touch a little on
legend.
him. Yeah, dude. He's been around forever. It feels like he's 33 years old. But when he plays on Sunday, you would think he was 20 years old.
Yep.
You know, this guy's, it's crazy. He's a 10-time Pro Bowler, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 1-time All-Pro, first-team All-Pro. Last year, he had 107 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's played in all 16 games for the last 2 years, so he's nice and healthy. He's a great leader. He's clutch. You know, he owns 10 Cardinal franchise records.
Wow, not to mention that's insane. Does anyone else have that many?
I don't know.
That many records? That's insane.
He's just a legend.
He's also coming off last year. He won the NFL Walter Payton Man of the Year. Wow. So he is just all around field, off the field. This guy should be a spitting image example to every other player in the league. Exactly. And not only that, I mean, on the field, this guy, like you said, he plays like he's 23 years old. He has so much talent. He brings everything to the field every single day. So I would love
to have him on my team.
This was totally unplanned. We both got Larry Fitz at 40 overall. I think Bo had him last year.
Yeah, he did.
Bo Perry had in our league had Larry Fitzgerald, and I was like, gosh, he's getting up there in age. I don't know. We'll see. Man. And wow, he
produced every week.
Oh my gosh,
especially in PPR leagues. I mean,
he won him some games. Won Bo some games. So without a doubt, Larry Fitz, he's the man. So I would not mind one bit having him on my team this year because I think he has all the ability in the world to weekly be a starter for you. So
I agree 100%, man. And but yeah, man, I mean, that's it for the top, 40 through 50. We'll come back and we'll go through, 39 through 30, tomorrow. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in with us and have a great day, guys.
That's right. Give us follows, guys. Instagram at @TheLeague_, and Twitter at @TheLeaguePod. That's at The League Pod. Our YouTube link is up on our Instagram and Twitter, so please go check out our podcast on YouTube and give us likes, subscribe to our channel, all that good stuff. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
What did I do? What did I do? Huh?